Story 1. The Haunted Retreat. In the heart of a dense forest, a group of adventurous friends sought a memorable weekend getaway. They stumbled upon an Airbnb listing for a secluded retreat, a charming cottage with promises of tranquility and breathtaking views. The property appeared idyllic in the photos, nestled among tall trees and surrounded by nature's beauty. Eager to escape the bustle of the city, the friends arrived at the retreat with high spirits. As they settled in, however, strange occurrences began to unfold. Doors creaked and slammed shut on their own, sending chills down their spines. Eerie footsteps echoed through the house in the dead of night, rousing the group from their slumber. Attempting to rationalize the unexplained phenomena, they blamed the old building and drafty windows. But their fears intensified when one of the friends, Sarah, a skeptic by nature, woke up in the middle of the night, drenched in sweat, and claimed to have seen a ghostly figure standing at the foot of her bed. Terrified, Sarah recounted her chilling experience to the others. Doubtful at first, they noticed her genuine fear and began to share their own inexplicable encounters. They couldn't ignore the unsettling energy that pervaded the cottage. With trembling hands, they reached out to the Airbnb host for an explanation. The host's response sent shivers down their spines. He revealed a long-forgotten family history, a dark secret buried within the very grounds they stood upon. The cottage had once been a burial ground for a family who tragically perished in a fire many years ago. Feeling increasingly unnerved, the group decided to cut short their stay and hastily pack their belongings. As they headed towards the car, they spotted an old photograph left behind on a dusty shelf. It depicted a family of 4, their faces etched with sorrow. Beneath the photograph was a cryptic inscription that read, "Rest in peace, dear ones, but peace may never come." Frantic, they fled the property, vowing never to speak of it again. But the fear that something from that haunted retreat had followed them home never left their minds. Sarah, in particular, experienced recurring nightmares and a lingering sense of being watched. She sought solace in books about paranormal investigations and haunted places, hoping to find an answer to the inexplicable events they had encountered. To this day, the friends are haunted by the memory of that terrifying weekend, and they advise others to steer clear of the seemingly serene cottage in the woods, a place where restless spirits still roam, forever bound to their tragic past. Story 2. The Disturbing Messages. A solo traveler, Emily, embarked on a solo adventure to a bustling city, hoping to immerse herself in its vibrant culture and history. In search of a more authentic experience, she opted to stay in an Airbnb apartment, where she could interact with locals and get insider tips on the best places to visit. The apartment was cozy and conveniently located near the heart of the city. The host, Mr. Wilson, greeted her warmly, handing over the keys with a friendly smile. Emily felt at ease and settled into her temporary home with excitement. At first, everything seemed perfect. Emily explored the city's hidden gems, savoring the local cuisine and capturing picturesque moments with her camera. However, on the 3rd day of her stay, she discovered something unsettling. Strange notes scattered around the apartment. Initially dismissing them as doodles left behind by previous guests, Emily soon noticed that the messages were becoming more personal and intrusive. The notes mentioned her daily activities, places she had visited, and even her thoughts and emotions. She couldn't shake the feeling that someone was watching her every move. Alarmed, Emily began to scrutinize the handwriting in the notes. As she compared them, she realized that each message had been written by a different hand. Panic crept in, and she questioned her safety in the apartment. Unable to sleep, she reached out to Mr. Wilson, the Airbnb host, seeking an explanation for the eerie messages. To her surprise, Mr. Wilson seemed genuinely concerned and baffled. He denied any knowledge of the notes and claimed that no one else had access to the apartment during her stay. Emily wanted to leave immediately, but her funds were limited, and finding alternative accommodation on short notice was challenging. Determined to uncover the truth, Emily set up a small camera in the living room before retiring for the night. As the morning sun illuminated the apartment, She eagerly checked the footage, hoping to catch the person responsible for the disturbing messages. What she saw on the recording sent shivers down her spine. In the dead of night, the apartment's door creaked open, and a shadowy figure slipped inside. The intruder moved swiftly and silently, leaving behind yet another note on the kitchen counter. The feeling of being violated overwhelmed Emily. She reported the incident to the authorities, but the police could find no evidence of forced entry. The notes were taken in for analysis, but the handwriting appeared to be inconclusive. Feeling vulnerable and terrified, Emily decided to cut short her stay at the Aram apartment. She found a hotel for the remainder of her trip, though she could never shake off the lingering sense of being watched. The mysterious stalker was never caught, leaving Emily haunted by the idea that someone had been observing her every move during her stay. She returned home with a newfound wariness of shared accommodations and learned to be more cautious while traveling alone. Story 3. The Abandoned Mansion. In a remote corner of the countryside, a family of 4 sought a unique vacation experience. Tired of the usual tourist traps, they decided to try something out of the ordinary. A stay at an old grand mansion they found listed on Airbnb. The property boasted a fascinating history, with tales of opulence, grand parties, and unspeakable tragedies that had befallen its former inhabitants. Excitement mixed with a tinge of trepidation as they drove up to the sprawling estate. The mansion stood tall and imposing, its once grand facade now showing signs of age and neglect. Undeterred, the family was drawn to the allure of the past, and they eagerly crossed the threshold into a bygone era. The initial moments were filled with awe as they explored the vast rooms adorned with antique furniture and intricate chandeliers. Yet, as they settled into their temporary home, they couldn't ignore the distinct feeling of being observed. Odd sounds echoed through the halls, soft whispers, distant laughter, and eerie creaking of the floorboards. While the parents attributed the noises to the natural settling of an old building, their youngest child, little Timmy, seemed unusually occupied. He often wandered away from the family, claiming to be playing with an invisible friend named Eloise. His behavior didn't immediately alarm the parents, as they believed it to be typical childhood imagination at play. As the days passed, the family noticed peculiarities that couldn't be easily brushed aside. Objects moved from their original positions overnight. Doors would inexplicably open and close, and chilling drafts swept through certain areas of the mansion. Each night, the family would gather around the dinner table, hearing faint cries and whispers coming from empty rooms nearby. Their anxiety reached a peak when one evening, Timmy pointed to an old portrait hanging in the grand foyer and said, "Eloise says she used to live here before, but she's not happy." The portrait depicted a young girl, her eyes hauntingly sad, and the family shuddered at the eerie coincidence. Curiosity turned to concern as they began researching the mansion's history. To their astonishment, they discovered a dark chapter, a tragedy that had struck the family who once resided there. The young girl in the portrait was Eloise, who had died tragically in the mansion under mysterious circumstances. Fearing the presence of lingering spirits, the family decided it was best to contact the Aram post, hoping for some reassurance or explanation. The host, an elderly woman named Mrs. Whitman, was surprisingly candid about the mansion's haunted reputation. She revealed that many guests have reported similar encounters with the supernatural during their stays. Disturbed and unnerved, the family contemplated cutting short their vacation. However, the idea of leaving the mansion untamed by their presence seemed inappropriate. Instead, they decided to perform a small ceremony in memory of Eloise, hoping it might bring peace to her restless spirit. The family gathered together in the grand foyer, lighting candles and saying a heartfelt prayer for the young girl who had once lived there. As they expressed their wishes for Eloise to find peace, an inexplicable warmth enveloped the room, and the unsettling sounds subsided. In the following days, the mansion felt less haunted, and Timmy's invisible friend, Eloise, seemed to have vanished. The family experienced a sense of closure and comfort, knowing they had paid respect to the tragic past of the mansion, and its former inhabitants. Although they never encountered any further paranormal activity, the family's stay at the abandoned mansion left an indelible mark on their memories. They returned home with a newfound appreciation for history and a reminder that some places carry the weight of their past long after their inhabitants have moved on. The experience instilled a sense of respect for the spirits that may still linger, and they vowed to cherish every moment with their own family, knowing that the gift of life is fleeting and precious. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the Dark Tales Unleashed channel for more such content.